I consider myself a vivid RPG player. I've played the classics but also like to dabble with the unknown hidden gems that release from time to time. However, I until now had completely ignored Kingdom Come Deliverance. From what I gathered, it was a buggy mess at release. But as the developer stuck with the project and kept throwing update after update and DLC after DLC at the game, it eventually managed to sell over 5 million copies. And now they can make it 5,000,001, as I have finally bit the bullet and bought the game as well. After experiencing dozens of adventures ranging from saving D-rank princesses to experiencing what it's like to work a minimum wage for Amazon, I could do with something a little bit less over the top. And I have to say, I found it with Kingdom Come Dinosaurs because, well, Jesus, look at it. I can somehow manage to smell this game through my monitor. And the same could be said for the main character. Introducing Henry. Henry is just a fine lad, isn't he?
You might as well kill me here and now.
That can be done too.
From the very start, Henry was immediately the most relatable character I've ever played as. He's just the most average SOB you've ever seen. He had no ambition, everybody was roasting him, and every time he got into a fight, he got the shit kicked out of him. He reminded me of my own sad existence. That is, until I found out that even he managed to find some love in his life. So I guess he's got one up on me. Oh, and he has friends. And he manages to somehow get laid pretty often. You know what, I take it back. Henry can suck my dick. Whenever Henry isn't busy collecting all 7 STD balls, you can find him mingling with the local lords, solving mysteries and beating up the homeless. Whilst my long-awaited opinions about the gameplay will Kingdom come later in the video, first of all I have to mention that the story, oh my god, the story is so incredibly, unbelievably, exceptionally well done. Like, yeah. Really, the characters are funny.
You son of a whore.
Most of them have quite a lot of character development.
You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
There are plenty of sad scenes tugging at your heartstrings, but also more light-hearted ones that will have you smiling constantly. The plot twist was surprising enough, but not that surprising that it completely blew me away. Like yeah, if you write a medieval style type of game like Skyrim, you can add different types of races and magic and dragons, but here you're limited to whatever happened in the Czech Republic in the 15th century, which is apparently a lot if you look at all of the lore, like Jesus, fuck. It should also be noted that you are Henry, just Henry. You need to feel the Henry inside of you. What I mean by this is that Henry is a predetermined character. Everyone says you're just a dumb simple peasant, but walk around the world for 3 days and you've somehow managed to become a master horse rider and a master swordsman just by walking around in circles and poking people with a broken axe all day long. I tried to mess around with hardcore mode for a bit, and whilst things like negative perks and more expensive items were great, the fact that I couldn't fast travel or that I lost the combat star that displays where my attacks were gonna land made me stick to normal gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, record eigenlijk wel. Even when trying to avoid this game at all costs, it was hard to miss that 2 things stood out to every man, horse and hamster who played this game. The first one being that the combat was absolute trash. I have to say I disagree. Combat is fun. Enough. Especially whenever you fight someone that is pretty aggressive. Things start making more sense whenever you're trying different weapons and combinations. It just falls apart whenever you have to fight more than one person at once. Like, who am I gonna hit? This guy or this guy? I am blocking as someone from the side is attacking me, but because I can't see him, I still get absolutely butchered. Oh, and don't even bother trying to use a bow and arrow. Nexus has a mod for this game that's been downloaded almost 700,000 times, and the only thing it does is add a reticle to your bow, which is much needed, to say the least.
This is torture.
But hey, bonus points for adding actual bleed effects whenever you get head wounds. That's a nice touch. The second thing was lockpicking. What can I say about lockpicking? I have nothing else to say about lockpicking. Next to lockpicking, you can attempt to make this farmer simulator as realistic as possible. If you like The Sims but are too manly to admit it, games like these come pretty close, as you still need to sleep, eat, bathe, and try to sleep with every person you see. Nonetheless, it's not very difficult to succeed in all of these things. Harsher punishment and reactions from NPCs would have been welcome, to be honest. You can listen to someone complain about how everyone around them is dying and they're out of food, and then the second the conversation is over, straight up eat out of their only pot of food and no one bats an eye. Or walk through someone's house in the middle of the night, and the moment they spot you, just spark up a random conversation with them and they're completely fine with it. But then on the other end, if you randomly decide to take a nap in their house, they do tend to freak out.
What are you doing lying here? Get the hell out.
If you want me to live in this pseudo hyper-realistic medieval simulator, at least make it consistent. Weeding a garden needs to be done manually and takes forever, but things like learning to read are somehow done within a single cutscene. Thankfully though, if this doesn't suit you, there's always the ability to hop right into the DLC, in which you can do even more manual labor. There are plenty of perks to choose from. However, I did notice that you become a one-man army the moment you start collecting some of these. It's the classic RPG issue of early game feels fun because you're actually scraping by for gold and you're weaker than everyone else. But then the second you reach the mid to end game, you have so much gold, items and perks, nothing really scares you anymore.
Why are you running?
When I was like level 9, I got ambushed by a human who dropped 160 arrows when he died, essentially enough to last me the entire game. It's funny to me how this game feels like it's been made by actual gamers, noticeable from their dedication and activity on forums and overall love they show for their game, but also things like dialogue options actually matching with what you're gonna say.
Do you know what Lubosch was doing the day Neuhoff was raided?
And then yet somehow still, even after all of that, they managed to mess up at the basics, like NPCs that all walk at different walking speeds than your own. For the love of Christ, woman, hurry up! You can tell this game had a limited budget, but I honestly think that all of the money is well spent. I really like how they only have a few cities to visit, but that all of them do feel alive. Every town is self-sufficient, with things like bakers, grocers, armorers and bathing houses. People go to work at mills and mines, and the guards will beat the shit out of you if you break the law, or simply throw you in jail. This is one of those games that makes you forget time, just riding through the woods with nothing but the falling rain, blowing wind and chirping birds to listen to. Oh, and my dog, of course, who just won't shut up. Traveling is quite dangerous, which I like. I once got robbed by 6 Cumans. Cumanis? 6 of these guys, and the best I could do was talk my way out of it, as beating 6 men wasn't gonna happen. They still robbed me for 1/3 of my gold, which even though it sucks, does make the game more realistic. Or this other time I had to kill a bandit leader, and as I was sneaking around their camp, randomly found out I could poison their wine. This wasn't in the mission objectives or a proposition from the quest giver, so this was a nice addition to randomly find out. These are just some random examples though. All in all, the side content in the game is decent. If The Witcher 3 is an S tier in side quests, and a game like Dragon Age Inquisition is F tier, Kingdom Crab Duffelbag is somewhere in the middle. Shameless self-plug, but watch my Dragon Age video if you want to know what I mean by that, as that video is single-handedly carrying my entire YouTube channel. But yeah, circling back to that whole Skyrim thing, Henry is an ordinary man in an ordinary world. You can't expect side quests in which you kill werewolves or speak to the gods or something like that. At best, you'll help people get a new job or find them a new love interest, which actually works in the game's favor when you think about it. If I play something like Mass Effect, I don't care about the other humans in that game, as there are plenty of other cool species and entire foreign planets to explore. Here, there are only humans, nothing else, and all of them are written well, which keeps me interested in their personalities and stories. All in all, Kingdom Cage Dinkelberg is a pretty amazing experience. It may sound weird after some of my complaints, but when you think about it, things it tries to do right, it does really well. And the things that kinda suck aren't bad enough to make you quit the entire game. I have no clue if a sequel is in development, but I'd love to see one. This game has that Fallout 3 to New Vegas or The Witcher 2 to The Witcher 3 potential, where even though the first games were pretty good, they somehow managed to remove almost all of the flaws and expand on the things that were good in those games in the sequels. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's a great game, and I think I'm currently gonna hop into a second playthrough on hardcore mode, and maybe I'll make a video on that someday, maybe not. Depends on how the video is received. If everybody absolutely hates me and my guts and my opinions, then I might even make it sooner. Thanks for watching.